Hello, welcome once again to another edition of the Coach's Corner program. I'm Jeff Ruth, along with Harding's head football coach C.J. Wessler. And C.J., last week, game against Ontario, it was there for the taking. Really, you certainly had your opportunities, and just a couple of plays here and there in the second half really were the difference in the ball game.
Yeah, I thought the kids played really well. It was a 7-7 game at halftime, pretty even through the second half. I think the game was a lot closer than the final score indicates. It was 14-14 for a while. They scored late to go up 21-14, and they recovered an onside kick, which hurt a little bit. But even then, I thought we had a chance to get a stop towards the end of the game to give ourselves one more drive to go down and tie it. Just didn't work out for us, but the kids played really well. There's some things we need to clean up, a few mistakes that we can't afford to make, but overall, I thought the team played pretty well against a good Ontario team.
I think the first quarter, if I remember, I think there were 11 penalties between the two teams, and especially that first quarter was really kind of hard to get into any kind of a flow for either team.
Yeah, there was, I think the first 3 or 4 plays of the game had flags, so not what you want to see. Got to be a little more disciplined. A couple of them, I think, were a little questionable on both teams, but if officials are going to call the game tight, you have to be able to adjust and be disciplined and not make any mistakes.
When we come back, we'll take a look at some of the highlights from the game against Ontario. We'll also have a couple of the quarterbacks we're going to talk to, and we'll preview the game Friday night against Pleasant. We'll be back right after these words. Back once again on the Coach's Corner program, and Coach, it's week 8 already. Season every year, I don't care who I'm talking to, we say it all the time, the season's just flying by.
Yeah, it seems like we just got started. It flies by. You try to tell the seniors it's going to go a lot faster than they think, and nobody really realizes that until you're winding down to the point we are right now. So definitely want to finish off the season strong and send the seniors out the right way, but it definitely has flown by.
Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights from the game against Ontario last week. Homecoming, another beautiful night for high school football on a Friday night.
Yeah, great weather. Here we have a screen called. We've ran this a couple times this year, a couple long touchdowns at home. Landon Keller did a great job leaking out of the backfield and great blocks by our receivers and our linemen to spring him along. I believe that was that answered their first touchdown, which made the game 7-7.
Yeah.
Now here we have a nice run inside. We put a little adjustment in offensively last week. Ontario was really good up front, really big on the defensive line, but we put in a play. It's kind of a new age version of a conventional trap play where you use your H-back to do it rather than your offensive line, and our H-back had a great block and sprung him along. Here we have a spread formation. We have the tailback leading for the quarterback on counter, and we got outside, and that again tied the game 14-14 midway through the third quarter.
Going back to that 32-yard run, I think that was the play right after a questionable call against Harding, and it really looked like that kind of fired your guys up.
Yeah, we broke a really long run, and our kid got up excited, and the referee thought that he spun the ball on the ground, so he threw a 15-yard penalty. So, you just got to be careful. That's why they tell you always hand the ball to the official, because you never know what they're going to see or what they think they see. So you just got to be disciplined.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a questionable call, though.
Yeah, and there were a
several.
few.
Yeah,
there were a few on both teams. There were.
Yeah, you got a rivalry game coming up with Pleasant on Friday night. We'll talk a little bit more about that game in our later segment. But as you look back after the 7 games, obviously not where you want to be record-wise.
Yeah.
But the team continues to give you all they got.
Yeah, the kids have played extremely hard all year, which as a coach, that's the first thing you look for are the kids playing hard. They're bought in. I feel like we've been pretty disciplined. When we look at the numbers from last year versus this year, we've cut the penalties in half. We've cut the penalty yards in half. So the kids are buying in. They're doing the right things. It's just a process. And, Lou Holtz is a great Hall of Fame college coach, and he always said when you're building a team and a program, you have to learn how to compete before you can learn how to win. And I feel like, we're at that stage. Obviously, we want to win, and the kids are trying their best and doing the right things. But I feel like each week we're inching closer and closer to that point where we pull off some of these wins in these tight games.
Okay. When we come back, we have a couple of the quarterbacks that we're going to talk to, and we're going to do that right after these words.
Bucci's Italian Scratch Kitchen is a unique dining experience with made-from-scratch ingredients and meticulous preparation of each and every plate. At Bucci's, you will not find a canned sauce in our kitchen. Every sauce from marinara and alfredo to our scampi and marsala is prepared from scratch every single day for every single meal.
Don't forget the dessert prepared from scratch in our kitchen. Choose from fresh-made cheesecake, tiramisu, brownies, or creme brulee for a sweet treat to finish your meal.
Bucci's is also expanding with the addition of our Dock Lounge, featuring the best in local live entertainment, as well as a variety of signature cocktails and limited menu items.
The upstairs Urban 501 area is available to host your most special occasions and private events.
Also coming soon to Bucci's is our fabulous outdoor courtyard area where you and your friends can enjoy outdoor games and entertainment. Located at 320 West Center Street in Marion, Ohio, Bucci's Italian Scratch Kitchen, Urban 501, the Dock, and the Courtyard are your one-stop entertainment hub for any event, large or small.
Back once again on the Coach's Corner program, we have a segment where we always talk to a couple of the players. We have a couple of quarterbacks that are going to join me. Normally we talk to seniors, but we have a freshman and sophomore quarterback that will join me for this segment. Des Feliciano, freshman, and Jaden Jordan to my far left. Des, we'll start with you. You started out as a freshman, got injured a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. You're on crutches.
Yeah.
Just kind of talk a little bit about how you kind of progressed the first few weeks. I know in talking with Coach a couple of different times, he said, he didn't want to, kind of put you on an island early in the game or in the season, just kind of let you kind of see the game as it progressed. But the River Valley game, which I saw, thought you played really well in that ball game. And Coach admitted, he said, that was a game they kind of let you do a little bit more. And you seemed, for a freshman, you seemed very comfortable in that game and was really looking forward to seeing you, at the end of the year. But unfortunately, you had that injury. So just kind of talk a little bit about, till you got hurt, how, as a freshman, you kind of were leading this team.
It was a very fast, the game goes way faster from middle school to high school. And it was not easy at first, and I just had to practice and get the momentum of the game and how fast it goes and just learn.
As far as the injury itself, talk a little bit about how the injury occurred and when it happened. Did you know it was a serious injury?
I didn't know it was going to be this serious. I thought it was something that you could just walk off until, I got to the trainer's table and I failed all the tests to go back in.
Now, you've had surgery?
I don't need surgery.
Okay, the good news is you don't need surgery then. How long are you going to be on the crutches?
6 to 8 weeks.
Okay. Now, do you play any other sports other than football? So football's it. Kind of talk a little bit about, quarterback is always kind of the people, or the position that people look to. But especially being a freshman, you're going in there, you got a lot of veterans on the team, juniors and seniors. Was it tough to kind of take command of the huddle and say, okay, this is how we're going to do it?
At first, yeah, because the age and what people would think about you. But once you start playing, you don't even worry about age and
all right, well,
leadership.
That's good to know. Have you always been a quarterback?
No, I actually played receiver in 7th grade.
Talk about the progression of being a quarterback and what maybe the toughest job is about being a quarterback. Is it reading defenses?
I think bouncing back from mistakes, messing up.
You're not the tallest guy on the team. obviously. Does that present any problems, especially when you're trying to throw the football?
I don't think so.
As far as being a freshman, this year basically is behind you. I know you're still obviously there supporting the rest of the guys and so forth. Talk a little bit about next year, going to be a sophomore. I know you hope to be the starter again this year. Just kind of some of the things you're going to have to work on during practice and during the summer and 7-on-7 drills and so forth next year.
I want to improve like release and accuracy and footwork and just getting better.
Okay. Well, appreciate it. As you say, there's a big difference between 8th grade and freshman, especially at the quarterback position. And thought you handled that really, really well so far. So appreciate you being on. Jaden, you're a sophomore. I don't want to say you're the second quarterback, but Jaden, basically you started as a receiver this year.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about, Des goes down a couple weeks ago. You have to come into the game. Last week you had a whole week of practice to get ready for the Ontario game. Just kind of talk a little bit about your mindset going into that Ontario game.
Yeah, I started at receiver and then, Des went down. So it wasn't a big deal from like starting on JV to going to varsity because I was already on varsity. So I already was confident. So I went in confident and I thought we could have won the Ontario game, but we had mistakes and it didn't happen. So
Assess your one game so far as a starting quarterback. How do you think you played overall?
I think I played okay, but there's always improvement. So always room for improvement. But just got to go into next week doing better. So.
How did the coaches kind of get you prepared? Because obviously you're going in as a quarterback, your first starting assignment. There's got to be a lot of mental preparation for that.
Yeah, I think Coach Wessler did a great job of getting me prepared. I feel like at practice I was already at quarterback at the start and I transferred receiver, so it wasn't too big on the plays. I knew all the plays and stuff. And I think Coach Wessler did a good job of preparing me for Ontario and getting ready.
Got Pleasant this week, a couple of more home games next week. Kind of your goals for the next 3 games, have you set anything?
I always want to get better each day, so
Just
day by day.
Improve each week then?
Yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate your time. I know you had some really good plays last week in the game against Ontario. Unfortunately, just a couple of plays here and there that didn't go Harding's way, but good luck on Friday night against Pleasant.
Thank you.
All right, Jaden, appreciate it. Des, best of luck in your recovery, and look forward to talking to you soon. We'll be back. We'll talk about the Pleasant game coming up on Friday, and we'll do that right after these words. Back once again on our Coach's Corner program, and Coach, you've probably had the Pleasant game circled for a long time.
Yeah, I think anytime you're playing a county rival, it's a big game. River Valley Pleasant, obviously with the history of being there the last 2 years. But I told the kids, it's not about me, it's about them, and I think we would be doing a disservice to the kids if we made it about the adults in this situation. It's more about the kids having fun. And I talked to the team on Monday. We haven't beat Pleasant and River Valley in the same season since 2015. So you talk to the seniors about what do you want your legacy as a class to be? How do you want to be remembered in terms of rebuilding the program? And if we can do something that hasn't been done in 10 years, I think that goes a long way.
I know Pleasant has had a couple of really key injuries this year. One before the season even started, and then Brenna Ringer went down right before the River Valley ball game. So it's a team that's kind of struggled. But those are probably the 2 best players on that team, and you take them out of the equation. Pleasant could be a much stronger team than they have been so far this year if they were healthy. And I know they're close. They played the Ontario game a couple weeks ago. They played them very close.
Yep.
So they're hungry for a win.
Yeah, like you said, those two players, great kids, great players, unfortunate injuries. And they kind of, I'm guessing they feel similar to how we feel with their season, that it hasn't necessarily gone the way that they planned, and they probably feel like there's a few games that kind of slipped away from them. They should have won, and I know our kids feel the same way. So they're going to be ready for it. I told the kids this is going to be their Super Bowl. It's the last rivalry game that they have, same as us. So there's a lot to play for, even though the records aren't where either team would want them to be. So we have to be ready. We're gonna get their best game, and we have to make sure we're ready to play.
Talk about what Pleasant does offensively and defensively.
Defensively, they're pretty basic. They line up and play. They're tough. Hard-nosed kids. They're going to be 4 down linemen, 4 linebackers, and they play cover 3. And that's pretty much, they're going to line up and say that they're tougher than you and try to stop you. And it's worked very well for them. Coach Brady's brother, Chris Brady, is the defensive coordinator. So it's the defense that was ran at Harding for 20 years under Coach Hinton and Coach Brady. So very similar defense to that. Offensively, they like to do a lot of spread stuff, and they have a young quarterback. He's a sophomore, and they really go as he goes. If he has a good game, typically they're in the game, and if he struggles, their offense struggles. So we have to do a good job of containing their quarterback.
And again, we've talked about it before, it's a cliche. A game like this, a team that makes the fewest mistakes is probably going to win.
Yeah, you got to limit the mistakes, limit the turnovers, limit the penalties, which we discussed earlier. Sometimes the game's called different ways. Sometimes it's called extremely tight. Sometimes they let the kids play, but we have to be disciplined and adjust to however the flow of the game is going and make sure we're ready to play. And I feel like if we do that, we're going to be in a good spot.
Sounds like the weather's going to cooperate. Should be a great night for high school football on Friday night. Appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
We'll do it again next week. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. It's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Coach's Corner program. For CJ Wessler, I'm Jeff Ruth.